What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Carbonite Bounty BS with me and the nerds. How's
Hi,
everybody
Gally.
doing?
Hey, hey.
It's good to be back, guys. It's good to be back and go over another issue of these Vader comics, man. But got some interesting things this week as we all were kind of surprised post San Diego Comic Con. But before we get into any of this stuff and start talking and discussing, let's let DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Talking and discussing. That's what we do here. Nerdcyclopedia.com. People, make sure that you are going to that website where you will see all your favorite social media platforms that we are on at Nerdcyclopedia. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure that you are hitting that subscribe button and also that notification button. So anytime that we're on, that you know that we're on. There's also a little share button too. So if you want to share this with all your friends, if they love Star Wars stuff, if they love, talking Star Wars and listen to people talk Star Wars, make sure that you're sharing that, with all your friends as well. We do also have a Facebook group called Carbonite Bounty BS, the Star Wars group. So we get your favorite memes on, we talk about your favorite Star Wars stuff coming out of Comic-Con, and basically everything Star Wars related. Carbonite Bounty BS, the Star Wars group, we are on there. Make sure that if you're listening to us on your phone or your radio and everything, download our podcast on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. Make sure that you are also catching our Nerd Cycle Comic Flick Show, NCFS. We talk about the crazy stuff, and we got an event coming up Monday.
Ooh, listen, I want to tell you about this. I'm gonna promo this thing. Now, as you guys know, Nerd Cycle Comic Flick Show is designed to be a little bit different than this show, where we talk about Star Wars and we keep it pretty direct about what we do. NCFS is designed to be our grab bag. So this week we have the trial of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have this epic clash of monumental brains in the nerdery coming to grips with each other in a Herculean struggle for supremacy. In one corner, a man who is so in the tank for Marvel that you would think that you could turn him into the Iron Man suit, D.P. Brown, who will be defending the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in the other corner, a man whose knowledge of what is happening in nerd cinema is so profound that I let him be the show leader on this show. T. Mitch. T. Mitch. That's right. These guys are going to duke it out. I'm excited, and I'm extra excited because I will be the judge. So I will be enforcing the rules of discourse, making sure things stay on track. So we will see you Monday night for Nerd Court, the very first Nerd Court, where we will have the trial of the MCU, specifically.
NCFS Raw, people. Don't watch the real one. Watch us.
Do you need a court bailiff for this?
Yes. Yes, okay. I do.
I'd like to volunteer to because
in the house, the bailiffs. We just got the family together. I just love it.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, trust me. Like I said,
yeah.
The credit is ran out, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man, yeah.
Insufficient funds
already.
That's already written and they can't be capped. Yeah,
a little teaser for everybody. Insufficient funds, ladies and gentlemen. Insufficient funds.
You gotta give passes where passes need to be given. So yeah, we
I can't wait.
Anyway, that's the preface. So that's the teaser for you guys.
There you go. That's the trailer.
It is. Speaking of trailers, very interesting thing we're leading into, right? It was a great segue into that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were, blessed with the Star Wars that just randomly at a weird time too. I mean, typically everything's planned and it's a, prime time. And I mean, this is literally out of the blue. I'm watching, we're all talking and texting and, boom. Yeah. An official, a full Andor trailer, pops up out of nowhere, on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And then, I watch it and I'm thinking it's going to be just, the Comic-Con or whatever, just something quick. And I mean, this is completely different. So, you know what? Let's just stop talking about it and let's let our guy hits. Let's let you guys watch it. If whoever hasn't seen it, we'll react.
All right, let me see what I can do. I mean, good Lord. Thanks for all the notice. Thanks for all the notice to get that ready, by the way, everybody.
Boom. We kind of dropped it on.
To steal from the Empire? You just walk in like you belong. They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house. Cassian Andor. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting. You're in my net. Are you a fish? Or are you a thief? You're slipping. I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long. As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
This is what revolution looks like.
I'm tired of losing.
Okay, sign me up.
Yeah,
whatever.
I have to put more money in my Disney account. Yeah, but
So now that's streaming. That isn't a movie that's coming out in the theaters, correct?
no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no,
That-
based on what we're saying, I mean, 3 episodes, depending on the
That's
run,
huge.
it
That's
can be a
huge.
movie. I mean, these are 35, 40 minutes. That's a movie. You know, there's 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I get to
That's
see like
epic.
that, the Star Destroyer scene. I mean, come on, that's
Yeah, the Star Destroyer. When you get that in a dramatic, so we're not seeing this as like regular kiddish type thing or whatever. We're seeing this in a dramatic, and then when you see like the Star Wars elements, like the Star Destroyer, just them staring up. So we see like the people on the ground. That's why I really wanting to see the people on the ground. What's been really happening with the people? As far as like the Empire taking over and all that stuff, and how they're reacting and all that stuff. We see the Star Destroyer, and then we're just seeing all types of dramatic elements. No sense of like humor. So this is almost like the adult stuff that we've been asking for.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we're getting a deep dive into the Senate that was still struggling to keep some sort of control, and we're seeing that crumble completely now at this point, right? Because I mean, that was Mon Mothma there. Like, what is she going to do? What is her strategy? What's her angle? How's she going to get in power with the rebellion? So, because really, it's the Senate turning into the rebellion,
Right.
basically. Yeah. So it's one. They're changing one government for another.
Right. This is a good segue into the the Ahsoka series, even on those episodes of when we were discussing, Rebels and whatnot. This is really that ground level, when she defected, and we always ask, people have said, well, there's things outside of the Jedi, right? There's things outside of the high end level of Coruscant. We're actually, as ZP said, getting to that ground level of what real people, not the elites, not the rich, but really how people feel. And I think this is going to be a true story of, obviously him being more of a middle class or maybe even a low class citizen in this galaxy, and what their struggles are, and what his story is. So very interesting, because it looks like we start at a maybe a young primitive age of him, kind of like a Luke Skywalker age that we've seen, and we see him as he grows. So I'm very interested to see. Um, as we all said, a real story of somebody who doesn't have the force necessarily, but really how people feel as all this is going on, on top of them.
And I liked his comment. The way into the Empire is to walk in the front door. Like literally, don't go around back. Just walk right in the front door and present yourself to them, and they'll take you in. That's what he did. I mean, he was.
You saw that with Han Solo as well, right? He walked right in.
Yep, walked right in the front door. Didn't hide. The bigger they are, the harder they can fall.
One thing I like about this trailer is it gives you the real sense of the difference in scale between like the resources of the Empire and the resources of the Rebellion. We see these ships, these immense ships, these of destruction being scrapped, and they're like that huge piece of that ship just collapsing off the end, right? Just gives you this immense sense of the weight of the decay of the Galactic Republic. And I think this is an excellent portrayal of how, the Palpatinian Revolution really impacted everybody, not just, in the Senate. So this wasn't just a changeover in, government in name and nobody noticed. And, the Republic and the Empire are pretty much the same thing. The Empire started doing stuff that was very different from what the Republic was doing right away. I think like we're talking about this time scale, Andor's been fighting since he's 6. Like we know that because he says it in Rogue One. So the sweep of that time is pretty epic, and it covers this entire inter-trilogy time that was, when we talk about what you were allowed to write about before Disney bought Star Wars, nobody was allowed to write any of that stuff. None, because George Lucas wouldn't let him. So, it's interesting to see them flesh out this time period. And it's great to see the Empire really running on all cylinders here. I mean, it's weird. We have these because that's what's going on in this time. We're going to have all these shows that are essentially like, man, Empire's really competent. They're doing a really good job. I think
they were around for a long time. They ran.
Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, you talk about Empire year 12. I mean, that year must have been some sort of bumper year for the Palpatinian clique. So, it must have been pretty rad to be one of Sheev's guys, right when the heyday of the Empire. And I'm excited to see this show. I've read some of the the production notes on this, and it's interesting to see that this is more practical sets and more practical effects and in-camera effects, and less of the, what do they call it, stagecraft, or the volume as they were calling it when they invented it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So that I like that gives it the sense of the scope, right? I like that. I like the practical effects.
Yeah, I'm loving the whole production, the whole wash of color and everything. You're not seeing a whole bunch of color in this and everything. Even when we was watching Boba Fett, as soon as color came into with the Power Ranger Psycho Gang and everything, people were all of a sudden offensive. It was offensive to them and everything. This is even more so, because we're getting Rogue One. If you love Rogue One, some people that's their second favorite Star Wars movie, Rogue One.
That's not
you're getting that greediness and that level of care to to these characters that we really don't know, but we know of Andor, and we see the span of time that he was fighting ever since he was 6 all the way up to when he became a grown adult. It'll be interesting to see how far they go into the fall of the Empire, or and how the perspective is from the people on the ground. Are they going to go jump right into the Empire just doing their crazy ways and everything and just fully taking over, or are we going to see the before and then gradually doing the 24 episodes? Or are we going to see the fall as it happens on the ground?
So they would have to go past Rogue
One. I don't think we'll make it past Rogue One because he dies, right?
I mean, he definitely doesn't.
He doesn't see the end of.
So we won't see the fall of the Rogue. We won't see the fall of the Empire. We'll see the I mean, we basically right now are
Well, no, no,
seeing
no. I'm
basically.
sorry. I'm sorry.
You mean the
Not to
Republic?
call it the Republic. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
call
got
it.
you.
That's what I meant to say. Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if anything,
Oh,
this is the infancy of the plans of the Death Star, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
Yeah.
that actually evolved into becoming a super weapon, I guess.
Yeah, in DP, I think that is what this is. This is the fall of the Senate and
mm,
the Republic
yeah.
as whatever's was left after
Right.
Revenge of the Sith. So we're going to see that whole thing because it was still there, even though Anakin destroyed the Jedi Temple. There was a lot more to the Senate than just Jedi.
Yeah. It just
I
didn't
think
just fall. Yeah.
right. So there's a time, there's whatever many years between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One, that they can fill in. But I think we'll definitely see the fall of the Republic and during this. You said so. It's 2 years, right? We got 2 years out of this series.
12 episodes,
Yeah.
per season, culminating in Rogue One. Yeah, we're gonna see we're gonna see like the parallel between this and I want to say like the Clone Wars, like some events that happened in the Clone Wars. They're parallel against each other. Is that what I'm gathering here?
I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, this is really listed as, I mean, if you're looking at like the Star Wars calculator or Star Wars, excuse me, timeline, this actually period is known as the Age of the Rebellion. So it actually went by kind of like a Marvel cinematic universe. Obviously, like the pre New Hope stuff, Obi-Wan and all that would be listed as Age of the Republic. This would be now Age of the Rebellion, and then obviously the sequel trilogy into some of the Mandalorian stuff would be the really it's called Age of the Resistance, obviously because of the whatever.
The Resistance.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is really falls into that kind of rebellion, as we said, kind of the beginnings of that, and this is really like the prequel into the whole rebellion.
I think they should just release this like maybe this Friday.
Put it out now.
Why on earth are we waiting until September 21st? What's significant about this? Wait.
What would you do if they released it now, but some of the scenes were just like with the blue screen, like you know what I mean? Like you ever see those production stills of like Hayden Christensen on that?
This thing's been in the can for months. I mean, they don't.
It was supposed to be released at the end of August, so I'm curious why how they. It's funny how they snuck the September 21st in there because I didn't realize that until this trailer. I'm like, I was so bummed about the trailer.
What are they waiting for?
That's the way to do it, though. Like we can't complain. We can't complain that they're shortening it because they're really not. We're just not getting it for 3 weeks and then getting them all at once, like some crappy like if you have a second Christmas somewhere. You know what I mean? Like it's late and it's all the stuff you were gonna get anyway, but you still had to wait.
You said.
I mean,
you're still happy about it. I mean, it's not like you didn't want the the Ghostbusters Proton pack with the pool noodle thing that came out the front of it that looked like a proton jet. Like everybody wanted that.
I wanted that.
Well, I had it. Ha! Look, that was a
Where
great
is
Christmas.
It now?
That thing, I don't know where it is, but I did also. That's the same Christmas. It was kindergarten. It was like 1989. I got my Nintendo. I still play on, so I know I do remember that Christmas rather vividly. Thank you very much, Mom and Dad. I mean Santa. I meant Santa. I meant to say Santa.
Santa.
You gotta work on that, man.
I know, man. I'm in trouble. What can I say?
That can be disastrous.
But I don't know. My daughter might grow up skeptical. You never know.
Yeah, I just kind of did a quick peek of like movie dates and series dates. I don't know why they pushed it because this month has nothing and next month has nothing. So
I guess is that either. And I was listening to a couple of podcasts. Either they don't want it to bump up against, Marvel She-Hulk, or they don't want it to bump up against Game of Thrones and the Lord of the Rings, which is coming around the same time. So you push it back a few weeks.
That's perfect time to scale.
I don't think Star Wars is afraid to compete with anything.
They went head to head with Stranger Things.
But it's still timing. I mean, you got like a bunch of different content coming in a short amount of time. So give Andor a little bit of time to breathe. You get a lot more, talk and mileage out of, content and everything. So,
I mean, I guess I kind of get that because remember, we discussed this on our last kind of show. I mean, and we'll discuss this Monday, but the rumors are that maybe Miss Marvel's numbers were somehow affected by the duality of the show releases. I mean, as we'll discuss Monday, that's not the case. But maybe that's why maybe as you said they pushed it to try to stagger these releases on Disney Plus. Because I mean, realistically, you can only watch one show at one time at 3 a.m. right? Or if you're up like I am,
Pretty much.
you you only watch one, right? So I mean, for ratings, maybe that caused it. A dip.
And
But
we're all nerds here and everything, but to think that these are the only shows that we ever watch,
right.
it's just ridiculous. So
I really like Big Brother a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely on the but it's on the back burner right now because we just got
for
off
the next,
Shark.
for the next
Survivor's
hour. We're not even going to talk about what's going on with Big Brother.
yeah, it's
Survivor's
more
back.
than just like Marvel, Star Wars stuff out there to watch. So I mean, please don't think when you're releasing this stuff that okay, this is the only thing the nerds watch. No, we watch way more stuff than this, or at least I do. Yeah.
But when you think about what this is replacing, from a standpoint of Disney's business model, I mean, it's really kind of replacing ABC, the broadcast network, in its like production profile and its content. So, at a certain point, it is sort of there should be space for more than one thing at once, because it's not like we've all obviously grown up in the same media universe where it's not like the only thing we were watching the whole time up until like 2010 was one show all the way through and stopping and watching another show all the way through. It was a little bit like junior high, you moved around a little bit. You get one period of The Sopranos, and then you get a period of whatever else, Game of Thrones, and so it's like a completely different consumption model. Now it's almost like when it starts, you have to have enough of the total story to hook someone immediately, right? Like you can't, like, because when, like, I feel like we're so inured to this experience of of television, right? Like that's something that isn't necessarily hardwired into entertainment, but we still think like, when does this story end, right? It ends after 44 minutes. It ends after 22 minutes. It ends because that's the amount of time that's allocated for that story to exist in. And that is completely different now for Disney. It's a delivery medium thing. And it's probably like a technological advancement if you want to think about, media delivery. So it's probably a good thing overall. But when you talk about like having too much stuff up on the schedule, the idea that like Bad Batch in this and, a Marvel show like Ms. Marvel couldn't live in the same universe would be like saying, you couldn't have, Parks and Rec in The Office and 30 Rock all on the same night. You can't drop those all at once.
Right.
Well, it's similar as you're saying. It's like a Netflix release. I mean, Netflix, when they release Stranger Things, they have how many different titles,
Yeah.
So it's definitely similar. But
it's
really the groundwork, like you're saying, to build a platform like that is really what this all is.
With streaming is a choice. It's all about choice. We got so many choices out there that you have the ability to make a choice on when you want to watch and how you want to watch, on what parts you want to watch, and how much if you want to consume, during that time period and everything. So it drops on a Wednesday, 3 a.m. So some people watch 9 o'clock as soon as they get up. Some people watch maybe a half an hour and then watch the rest of it, at night or whatever, when they're ready to do the podcast. But at least you have that choice where, 20 years ago, you had to wait till like 8 or 9 o'clock, when the schedule dictated, when ABC dictated that schedule, you had to be there. It was
there was a thing called a VCR
TV.
at that point. Yeah. The VCR to record the said item that came on at 9:30, say p.m. on Friday night because you were out like playing a gig or something. Yeah. Then sometime on Saturday you could go back and rewind that and like watch it.
True.
So we had streaming through the 80s, dude.
We did.
Streaming was in the 70s because we could record wherever we wanted and stream it anytime we wanted.
I'll tell you in the early 2000s at 4:30 I was rushing home to watch Tsunami to get that Dragon Ball episode in. So,
that's right. That's right.
That 4:30 was that time. No matter what I was doing, you had to be home. And you were broken.
If you missed it, it's gone.
Oh. Until they restarted the saga, you're out.
And when you get to the World Championship saga against, and he's fighting, Master Roshi, and then you miss like the climax of it, and the next thing you know, it's like 8 years later. It's frustrating. It's a frustrating situation to be in. This is definitely better. I would say this is better.
Yeah, it's better. All right, so
All right.
let's we got the Endor trailer. Let's
Yeah,
talk
we'll all
about
watch it. We'll all watch this show. Disney, you win. You got us. We're a captive audience, so you could slack off on the content. Let's be honest; they could make this could stink, and we'd still probably watch every minute. So let's hope that Disney is keeping it honest.
Maybe they could push the release off to November
credit
24th.
card.
Hopefully that's not the Marvel one.
Ooh, hey, Monday night. See Raw.
All right, it will be fun. But yeah, I mean, the second part of the show, and I'm sure a lot of you guys got into this, was really these Vader comics. And I've said this a ton of times. I'm so happy that the guys have really brought this to the forefront. I mean, really made me miss reading. I read some of the Star Wars novels, but to read the comics, I mean, and Mr. Vader has told us about some of the early projects and what he's read. These comics really not only as we discuss them give you a sense of how deep these stories can go, but really like it's everybody's imagination. Because as you read a comic book, we all have our own ideas. We all read it. We all visualize right in our own minds, in our own head. We all visualize it differently. So I think that's what really kind of makes me excited again. Is you're reading these and you're going through and you're making the sounds and doing this. That visualization that you get, and that makes me giddy every time I read a comic book anymore. It's just like that feeling of a fantasy that I don't as I feel maybe as I get older I don't have as much, but as you get back in those comic books, it kind of takes you back into those fantasy lands when you were young again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these group of issues were pretty good. The last group was just okay to me and everything, but I was enjoying this last batch for this I guess this 4-part series and everything from 20 to 25. Vader's ruthless. Vader he's just that dude, I as much as I hate the Empire and Palpatine and his manipulative ways and everything, Vader, he when he's tasked to do something by Sheev, he gets it done, with not so much his reluctance on his part, but he knows who his master is. He knows who I guess who makes the bread or whatever, or whatever thing you want to call it and everything. But he goes to do his duty, and I think he enjoys it. He enjoys whipping out that lightsaber and just slicing and dicing folks and everything. And I believe Palpatine. And one thing I caught, and this was sort of towards the end of the last issue, how Dr. Aphra, when she was like trying to snitch on snitch on Vader and everything, it was like, okay, you're about to be in trouble and everything. Palpatine was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. This is what I tasked you to do. You're Vader. You're fully on the dark side. Yes, this is what I wanted. And she's like, okay. But I think, she was just playing chess, and she is like super smart. She already knew in that instance, just on her end, that there's no way she was getting out of that alive. So she tasked herself with trying to put Vader in a position to make her suffer, and he wouldn't do it. And she said, he wouldn't be kind. I think it was to the effect of what she said. She knew he wouldn't be kind to put her in that pod and everything and have her go out into space and stuff. On the Vader's end, he's like just into to being ruthless, into dicing like the silos, what is that word they're called, the silo, different silo clones and everything. And I love like that dynamic when the one silo thought he had him. He thought he had him. but we know with the plot armor that Vader has, no, he doesn't. But I love the way it played out. The great thing about this scene, even though Vader has plot armor throughout the whole thing, you like seeing how everything is played out, how the chess moves are made between the characters who think they know how to gain favor or how to overcome Vader. They just don't, and he just slices and dices.
Yeah, he takes it, and the Emperor was super chatty. Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's been this many lines for Emperor Palpatine and the entire everything that we already know. Then in this set of stories, I mean, he's going on and on and on, and it's at one point it got a little bit for me. It got a little bit much. Like I prefer him to come forward with his thing, get his point across and kind of back off and just be there and menace a little bit. He was super chatty, and DP hit like right on the nail on the head. Is it possible for you to Steel City? Can you bring up a page? If I give you a page number, can you bring up a page that we can look at and kind of examine this comic a little bit?
I mean, with no notice whatsoever? No.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone at home, if you can bring up page 98 for me.
I will wait.
Class, I don't want to have to ask you twice.
So, well, maybe I can just show it. So there
we go. Oh yeah, that was nice.
So
nice.
A lot of what T. Mitch was saying about reading comics and like getting to having the fantasy going on in your head. When I saw this frame come up, I was like, oh no, you do not. I don't care what technology you think you have. I don't care what kind of card you think you just played on Darth Vader. You do not put your hand on his head like he's a dog.
Right.
That's
right. It's gonna be over. I mean, you just don't do that. I don't care who you are, right? You don't treat this man machine like a puppy, and like you put it. At this point, this was the pinnacle of Vader's power. I mean, this showed that there was nothing standing in this gentleman's way of getting his point across. And if you remember the frames, this goes back to Anakin on the beach at Mustafar having a fire bath, and Obi-Wan, throwing him there. But then it turns a little bit. It gets real dark. Like he actually, Obi-Wan throws the torso into the lava, which we know doesn't happen. And and then Vader in the uniform steps out like something out of like Lord of the Rings, like I don't know, like an org or something coming out of the fire, and cuts Obi-Wan in half, which I think T. Mitch really liked. Like deep down, I think that really
poetic justice.
A little bit.
So, but it was like him thinking, okay, this guy think he has me beat, right? But no, he doesn't, because I can go different directions with the Force. I can use the Force and bend things to affect my will. And damn if he don't. I mean, and what does he say? He says, you don't know. You don't know. The Force is it's changeable. Like the glimpse we got from what was that in Rebels with the different timelines. I mean, anything can happen with the Force if you bend it properly. And this shows just how powerful Vader is, not only here, but also taking out a Rancor, which has been, I mean, mechanically enhanced to
intelligent
repel him, So we've read 4 volumes of this story. This one, to me, pulled out all the stops and really kind of got rid of all the fluff and really got to brass tacks. And I like the way they put a coda on it and summed up a lot of stuff and explained, answered some questions about his sort of childhood anger and where that might have come from. They did a very good job. It was very movie-ish. Like this series of this particular volume was very movie-ish to me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm D Vader, because he's business. He's all business, front and back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was cool though too, as you guys said. I mean, this was really the first kind of insinuation of Anakin being a product of the Force, right? I mean, as he's having these kind of visions and everything, and we see the Palpatine, we see his mom Shmi, Skywalker Large, as we call it, which was interesting. And it's kind of that story, that duality that we didn't have. That's canon. It's not canon. It's EU. It's not EU. But it was kind of cool to, as you said, to see that. Really, this the different tale. I think this is the Vader we all wanted to see. We were hoping to see, but it just happened to play out in comic form. So it was cool to kind of get this part of it to get this understanding of it, and maybe this is maybe why we may not get a series, um, because of the way these play out. I mean, the stories were written so great. Even we discuss all the time the artwork. That cover art on the last episode, I think of that was that him in the Mustafar fire
Yeah.
Yeah.
and him like walking out of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just excellent, exceptional stuff. So super fun.
And this
Yeah.
is a great Star Wars story too, because it has everything you want from a standpoint of like it has the droids, and I love the droids in this. The murder droids are so hilarious. They're just like bound by no morality except the prime directive to only kill the people that Master wants dead. Right, like that's it. That's the only thing that stops them. I like the whole explanation of the assassin droid, like what's going on with them, and then the double cross. That whole line where it's like, I do you think he's treated those droids really well? And you know the answer is no. Like, and I love that the joke is that the answer is never yes. It's never been yes ever. No one's ever treated a droid right in the Star Wars universe. So, you kind of understand the murderous return. Although, the other thing is, I remember droid armies being used to some great degree to do some killing in the recent past in this universe. So maybe I really think they should probably do better explaining how why that wasn't the same thing as this. Yeah, just how that's different. But who cares for a comic book, right? All the imagery of Darth Vader rising out of the lava, I loved it. I loved how they showed that burn up metal hand that he was pulling himself out of the lava with in episode 3. And I think that showing him as using the Force to overcome the technological limitations actually answers a lot of questions about what's going on with his stupid suit. So for me, it's this was just a really great story. I enjoyed it a lot.
To touch on when 000 was instructed by I guess Vader to bring Dr. Aphra back, and and Dr. Aphra was like, well, you completed your directive, right? so to negotiate with that droid to remind him, okay, well, you complete directive, so now you're back under my control.
Uh-huh.
and the droid was like, damn, you're right. That just had me just like dying. It's like, because the droid. So to hit his point, the hilarity about 000 especially is the fact that he has so many side remarks that just make you just like, wow. If I could see this in like live action form, I would just be laughing and dying all day. But to every like murderous thing that he's just enjoying, to doing and everything, and suggested that they should do, it's like, wow. I'm thinking, okay, CP3O just has like this dark side, him and R2D2, we get in Bati and everything. So to have them two as like the comic relief of a Vader thing, I mean, it just falls. The harmony and everything is just right there. So I enjoy like their banter, especially this set of issues, like the whole time.
What's really interesting about these issues is we read this last set specifically, and we got towards the end as we saw Vader with these like as we call them flashbacks, as we've seen in the comics, him being Anakin. We see a revision of the Jedi Temple scene in which he went through. As I was reading these, I really, really, really hit home that like these comics, as we discussed, look like the stuff that we see on the Filoniverse. I mean, the storyboards, the flashbacks, it almost looks like when they're doing the storyboards, it's like comic format because as a comic lays out and we lay these storyboards out and visualize this in my mind, I literally can visualize this as they're putting this on the screen as we're watching now. So really interesting. I don't know as far as obviously we're not in the production that they're in, but it'd be fun to see the storyboards, how they create these because they seem to follow like this comic book style format that we're reading currently. It's really,
I think
really
it's very
interesting.
similar, isn't it?
It is.
Isn't
Yeah, to
the
me it
thought
is.
process is very
Yeah.
similar to how they're, like we always say, wow, this would be great to see this on the screen. Well,
It is, yeah.
you really could if you wanted to, take any comic book, flesh it out, and they would just have to do the cuts, like the edits would have to be a little bit filled in, right? You'd have to like put a little bit more in going from like one scene to another, but you got the artwork, you got the concept, you know what the special effects are. Throw a little music in there, and you got yourself a motion picture. You know, so comics were really, I mean, the comics go back to, I mean, the 30s, right? 20s, where they used to draw pictures, and somebody had the idea, let's do this, but let's put it on let's film it. Let's put it on a screen. I mean, it makes sense, you know, to do things that way. The storyboards and everything, like you said, T-Mitch, you know, we're not in on the whole production side, like the thought process and all the processes that have to go into place. But someone could take these Vader volumes and turn them into a a series real easy, because they're so well thought about. I mean, the stories and the script is already there. All you need to do is throw a soundtrack in and edit the stuff together so it makes sense on a big screen. I mean, it'd be legit. I'd totally go see it or watch it on Disney.
It's funny how, you know, these characters in here just love putting Vader to the test and everything. It's like everybody, you know, he meets, you know, they just try him. Like, why do you even do that? You know, they like this one guy, the black guy, I forget his name, but he's like early, in one of the early part of the issues.
He's one of the people that the Emperor puts to like check him, right?
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting there. Okay, well, you're not going to kill me. I mean, it's just, you're not going to kill me and everything. And of course, Vader does exactly that. You know, as soon as he tells him, like, you know, we're exactly where his son is. I'm sorry, was it the son that he was looking for? Or
he's always looking for a son.
Yeah, but he revealed a piece of like information that Vader wanted. And as soon as Vader got that information,
boom,
that was it, you know. And I just saw that, wow, you know, I mean, it seemed like he had Vader in a corner, but of course not. You know, Vader, he's the type where, you know, you think you can put him in a corner and everything, and no, he knows he's that powerful where he doesn't care. You know, his
nobody puts Darth in a corner.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's not all about taking over the galaxy. He's about completing missions. You know, he's doing his work. You know, and if you do things to try to get in his way and everything, you know, it's just like just crazy. So Afra, like we was talking about at the end there, you know, she was talking about, okay, well, you got like trying to take over an empire within an empire, something to that effect and everything. And I'm very surprised that that Palpatine, you know, was talking with her and everything, because we like Ken was saying, we see Palpatine talking a lot, you know, during these issues and everything, and to have, you know, Alfred just wait with him there, you know, until Vader came. I'm sitting there like, well, you know, what is this conversation? You know, what was the conversation before?
Yeah, where is it going? Like, why did this happen? I mean, she's got to be thinking, well, this is probably not the best position for me, but she thinks she has a like an ace, a card. It's like she's holding something that Vader still is gonna like keep her around, or is she still important to him? But honestly, I mean, she fulfilled her obligation. She did everything that he needed her to do, and he can dispatch her at any moment, which he does.
She played it well, and in which she said the best thing that happened in my situation was I needed Vader to think that I was dead, and I needed him to think that it was me that it was him that killed me and everything, you know. So she can go off on about her way, and she's still in control of 000 and everything, right? Because it seemed like she had that whole plan just set. So she's being like hella smart, you know, about how you know, putting her in a position to survive against Darth. Where we was talking about all these other characters, like, you know, the one guy in the silos and everything, and the one that was controlling the Rancor and everything. You know, they thought they had Vader in the corner. You know, with Dr. Afra, she's sort of like one step ahead. While she can't take out Vader and everything, she can survive him, you know. So I'm interested to see how you know, that you know, I'm not sure exactly what issues we're going to be reading next, but how the story continues with her and also Vader, you know.
I mean, it's a smart play in the comics and a smart play in the story because as we mentioned, I mean, we're going to all these other places, and you're right. Everybody's trying Vader because to most people's idea, you don't see Sith. They're not like Jedi. They weren't readily available. So you see this all powerful person that you don't know is powerful. It's just like anybody else in a fight, right? I mean, you walk into a guy that you don't think is a UFC fighter, you might want to test him, right? You want to test him, and then these people keep testing him, and it seems that he keeps raising his game, and it's almost like an exhibition for him, right? He's able to fine tune himself through all these trials and tribulations. And as you said with the Dr. Afra piece, very interesting kind of character play because we talk about Tarkin and these other species, right, that become so evident in the Empire that aren't Force users. And it's a great, really asset to the Empire to not just have Sith, to not have Force users, but Palpatine understands these other species are just as important. And it's basically a test on the species, right? To see this is this intelligent without the Force. So this may be an ally that I can use and we can hone instead of basically maybe enslaving some of them or forcing them to mining worlds, So I kind of like the duality and how they kind of show, the strength of other species, like as we talk about, Tarkin and even, the guy who's we'll see very soon here, hopefully in the series we're leading up to.
Yeah.
The big blue guy, right?
Oh, Thrawn.
Correct. So it's another species, that is
or
as we
Max
go through
Rebo.
these,
Who are you talking about?
right?
Max
Thrawn.
Rebo?
Thrawn.
He's a big blue guy.
Yeah. It's it's just
That man is all about love and music, not about warfare in the Navy.
Exactly. And that's going to
why
be the
they're
downfall of the Galactic Empire because they're going to put Max Rebo in charge of the Death Star 3.
I must say though, I do like these. Kind of taking it back to the Andor trailer real quick. I love these costumes. Like the Empire. Like they make it seem so cool, right? They make it seem cool. Maybe that's why a lot of people join and fall, and the rebellion is what it is. But
yeah, you want to be on the side that you're safe. You think that you're safest with.
Yeah, and that's why every kid on every planet in the entire galaxy universe wanted to join the Imperial Navy because they had the marketing. They could you could see new worlds. You could destroy hundreds of thousands of people that you didn't know.
Yeah. You don't care anything about them. No part of saving lives.
They've completely locked down interplanetary travel, and it's the only way off planet.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So join the Imperial Navy right over here.
So it's a great sales job because if you want off planet, guess what? There's one way.
I know, right there. And they'll even give you a last name if you don't have one.
And they'll think about it too.
Solo. Okay. I'll take that.
Get out of here. Get out of here, Han Solo. I've got to get back to colonizing.
Little did that guy know he created a thing like an anomaly, a hero. He created a hero. He created a smuggler, and he instilled a little bit of anger in a human. So
I imagine half of being a Force sensitive is like thinking about whether or not to let Han Solo pass and being like, no. Like that's most of what it's like to have the Force.
Yeah,
that seems like a bad idea.
No, we're not going to let this guy through. Make him fight in the
army. Not going to let you be in the army. The only way off planet. The one way. All right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
we don't get a lot of stormtroopers in this either. No.
Or droids. Or droids.
Yeah. I mean, Vader's basically he's coming in, slicing and dicing by himself.
And very confidently.
Very confidently.
What happened? I love when they just like they don't need to show us how Vader got on the Star Destroyer. Yeah, they just tell us I bet he jumped off and then just cut his way in. And then everybody reading the comic book is just like, that is probably what happened.
I completely agree.
I bet that's what he did.
They just dramatically have him in the shadows, coming out,
yeah. He's like, oh yeah, you can't control
just have like the lightsaber, the red lightsaber there. That's it. That's how you know he's there. So he's already done his damage way before. So in our head canon, in our mind, we know what he's
done. All they have to show you is the saber handle and a little bit of blade coming up, and you already know what's happening.
There's just some poor guy who like 5 minutes ago was like, mopping the floor. He's just like, oh,
my life.
Yeah, it's like the stormtroopers that turn around in those sequel series. There's always some guys like, you know what, he can have that. It's always okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see them constructing the Executor. I think that seeing that as like the intermediary weapon, like that was the thing Palpatine put together to like build the stopgap in between the Death Stars, was this enormous like city ship or whatever the hell that's like 1,000 times bigger than the things he's been making that have dominated planets. Yeah. So I think it's interesting to see the Executor itself get its due, because I think that we talk about Death Star 1, we talk about Death Star 2, but this thing is a technological terror of its own.
Mm-hmm. The Superstar Destroyer.
Yeah,
I always thought they should have called it the Executor. I don't know why, because it just made sense that this thing would execute everything in its path, and it did, and had that fear. Like Rebel pilots, just their hearts exploded inside their chests when they came out of hyperspace, and that's what they were supposed to. Wait, this is my mission? No. No, this is not. No. I didn't sign on for this.
It's kind of like what in the sequel trilogy, what do they name it? The Dreadnoughts. Like, you see the Dreadnought, it's like it's like scary.
They each have it explode. They could each blow up a planet. Well, wouldn't they need a lot of kyber crystals for that? Where'd they get all the kyber crystals? Oh,
yeah, exactly. Oh,
stop talking like that. Anyway, but I think the artwork is really great. I think sometimes with comic books, if I'm reading and I go too fast, I get confused with the kinetics of scenes sometimes, where I'm like, wait, wasn't that guy standing next to this guy, and I have to go back and look. But that's not something that ever took place at any point in time when we were reading these. I thought the action itself is really seamless. And I think it speaks to what you guys were saying about how it looks like storyboards, and it seems like it would translate so well to the screen, because you can see that if they use this as the backbone and just put in some of that, they could spin it a little bit and make it seem like, was that actually a vision he was having of Obi-Wan, or was that really Obi-Wan talking to him? Which is probably, my guess is what they do. I think there's a lot of legs for that. I think it could be really cool. So I am enthusiastic about them making these stories like this, filling in a little bit of the gap on the Emperor. Interesting that he sees Dooku as a neutron bomb or something like that. Set it and forget it, gone. Who cares? He's like, I was going to replace him anyway. We're going to trade our center fielder. We had a better guy in the minors. You go out and draft, like, you get the first pick in the draft, and you go out and you draft like an NBA center. You know what I mean? Like one of those guys that's like, like Zion, right? Like, and you're the guy that plays that position on that team. Like, you're not going to start next year. You're gone. Like, so it is what it is. But I like that Palpatine's always going for the best.
Right. Yeah. Because Darth Maul didn't cut it, I guess, right?
It was a loss.
Darth Maul it's kind of like being a Cleveland fan, right?
Oh my goodness! All right,
no pun intended.
Let's not get into like over state to state warfare here. We want everyone to watch us. We don't care where you are.
Oh man, look at the time.
No pun intended. Yeah, right?
Look at the time. Intended. Is that 6 or 12 or 16? So
it's not 3. It's not 3 a.m. for sure, and it's not. It's not a Disney release or not a Marvel release. So, yeah, guys. Another exciting episode. Obviously, we started with that big Andor release, and I'm sure we've heard. And I know Hitch kind of alluded to it as well. This Ahsoka trailer's out. I've heard it's finished. They're polishing some things on it. Who knows when that'll hit? That can hit at any time. So that's really the next big release.
Can't wait for that one.
Another Bad Batch. I think they're going to do the Bad Batch full trailer as well. So
Yeah.
So yeah, we're keeping our eyes peeled, and as everybody said, if you guys do catch it or anything beforehand or any leaks or anything, I know I've seen the Ahsoka trailer leaked. I've already seen it a couple times, online. But yeah, if you guys see anything, please put it in the groups. We can interact with it, react to it as well. And if you guys have anything you guys want us to react to, please, as they said, comment on it. Anything you guys want us to bring up, on any of our streams, please mention it to us. We love to discuss things and give fan feedback. It's not just our opinion, but it's your opinion as well. So that's something we've always pushed on the channel as far as giving everybody a vision, not just our four visions. But yeah, guys, DP, what do we have planned next coming up here?
Hey, Monday night, MCFS Raw coming in the house. Yeah. So it's coming in, and apparently we got Bailiff, coming with us too. So you will see us back Monday.
Because you got to, someone has to be there to control YouTube because you're going to be at. Now, are you going all the way back to the beginning of Marvel? Like, are you going back to?
The terms of the indictment have been stipulated as such that the Marvel Universe has vastly underperformed since Endgame and has allowed itself to be surpassed specifically by the Matt Reeves Batman film, which has been stated as being superior to anything else Marvel has done. Okay. So the two questions are:
there definitely has to be rules. So
one, there's plenty of rules here. I mean, I'm going to run this. I'm going to run a tight ship. I don't want anyone thinking that they're going to get a freebie in on me. If you better have some evidentiaries, I would recommend researching the box office numbers because I'm not going to. Somebody says a lot of money, and I'm going to tell them to stuff it. I got an objection. I'm going to say sustained, speculative.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it a bunch.
There will definitely be more arguments.
How much money?
Financial,
We got receipts. All Marvel has is really is box office receipts.
Oh my goodness! Hey,
but there's so many.
A lot of people got to watch, and they keep on coming. So
I just can't wait until the cross-examination about the Nolanverse. So the real question is: Has Marvel produced anything as good as The Dark Knight at all? That's my question. I mean, I want to see. I want to see. If I rewatch The Dark Knight, would it feel aged? I have my own questions, but the main questions for this Monday are going to be: has it underperformed since Endgame? And is there anything there that is better than the Batman? So I'm excited to adjudicate this dispute with prejudice.
Yeah, guys, definitely. And then with obviously Carbonite Bounty BS, you guys stay peeled, and until next episode, this is the way.
This is the way.